having a peaceful morning, Coach?
Peaceful.
Yeah.
I think I might, as it's been suggested to me from one of our good friends and incredible athletes and solid coach, Elise, that maybe I should title this podcast today, "You Know What Really Grinds My Gears."
Uh-oh. That is a foreshadow.
No. It won't be that bad. Welcome aboard to the Crushing Iron Triathlon podcast.
Yes.
Episode 209. It is Thursday, October 25th, and I opened up a can on our Crushing Iron Closed Facebook group this morning about topics or questions to possibly cover. Obviously, there is no way in hell we'll be able to cover all of them, but I think it's always good to get feedback from our listeners. You know, we do this podcast for them, and there's always a million different topics, but they're always kind of seems to be at least like two or three ones that kind of rise to the top in terms of, oh yeah, do that one. So while we won't get to every single one, I'll definitely try to cover probably two today. I definitely want to cover a few that are, I think, super important, and then some of them are, I think, kind of one or two sentence responses, and I'll try to keep it as such. But a lot of great questions, a lot of things to be mindful of this time of year, and we'll do our best to enrich the minds and lives of those listeners.
All right, I'll just hang up and listen.
That's kind of what I figured.
Falls calls.
Yeah, that's
what they say. Now, Coach, I'll just hang up and listen.
Yeah, hopefully we're not that.
Before we get started, if you have been listening to the podcast for a while, if you like the podcast, there's a great way for you to support us and keep this podcast going. And this is, I hate to correct you, but it's 210.
Oh, sorry. Listen, we always try to undersell, over-deliver.
This is true.
That's a good example.
This is number 210. Every Monday and Thursday, we come right at you. So you can go to patreon.com/crushingiron, and we have a couple of tiers there, $3.26 or $13.26, and these are a monthly, pledge or whatever, or support. And, you just kind of let it ride and keep listening to the podcast. We'll keep cranking them out twice a week. Having a great time, meeting a lot of good people. It's all a good thing. Let's just keep it rolling. And,
keep it rolling.
Every little bit helps us.
It does.
Moves us in the right direction. I don't know. And then, of course, crushingiron.com. You can check out our coaching and pricing and all that stuff. And we're going to announce another option here soon. I guess that's a good way to put it.
Yeah, just leave it. Yeah, just leave it as a little tease option.
Yeah, we'll have another option up there
it's
in
a teaser.
The next couple days. And other than that, I've got a question out of the gate.
Oh, well, you get priority. You're here.
Okay, I'm right here. How do I get to be an expert mountain climber and run elite marathon speed?
I see what you're doing here.
No, that is not my question. But I looked through some of the questions, and
good.
Obviously you have a good beat on it.
It's time to talk about running.
Let's talk about running.
Jesus Christ!
It
is. I'm going to be frank here.
Here it comes.
And I know this will probably upset some people, but that's okay. If you're only running 2 or 3 days a week, don't expect to get a lot faster. That's just the honest truth. You might see old, Track Tuesday Teresa, who has pretty good times, and you want to compliment what she does, but she runs Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday, or I can only run 2 or 3 days a week, and I do this. you're just not going to get that much faster. You may get slightly faster.
You may have your moments.
You may have your moments in training, but you're probably going to end up being one of those, I just never really seem to put it together on race day. And it's also time, if you're out there and you're trying to figure out, don't tell me you're trying to peak your 400 meter pace, and at the same time you're trying to prepare for a full marathon or an Ironman marathon. Running is fairly simple. As much as you want to complicate it and look for like the overnight fix and the hack and the special workout and the ones that are going to look great when you post it on Strava and you get all these new segments and all this kind of stuff, that's all fun. Good for you. Congratulations. But at some point you have to pick whether you want to achieve your goal or you just want to train a specific way that makes you feel good while training, but you're not going to take your goal really seriously. So you're just going to find yourself being, well, I expect to do this and I expect to do that and I expected to run faster and I expected to be this. And, well, then change your expectations or change the way you do things. That's really that. It honestly is that simple. Run 5 to 6 days a week. 80 to 90% for most people, 80 to 90% of that running should be at a lower zone 1 or zone 2, whether by pace or heart rate. And the rest of it should probably be zone 4 or zone 5 when they're building up their base. I posted an article that I think I put up a year and a half ago maybe on the blog. It's now in the Crushing Iron group to watch. And there's this funny thing that also happens when you do a lot of running. You become incredibly aerobically efficient, but guess what? You also become durable, and you also become faster. Don't tell me if I'm running slow, I'm gonna get slow. No, you're just not doing enough. Read that if you're on the Crushing Iron group, the Crushing Iron blog, and look up running slow to get fast, hard evidence. I have graphs, I have data, I have all these things where the mileage that I was doing, the percentages I was doing it with, and I think it came down to somewhere between like 83 to 86% of all of my training that I did was in zone 1 and zone 2. And only, I think, less than 6% of it was ever like even under, at that point, like a 6:45 pace. But doing that over a 10-week span, which is not that long, you're thinking like 2.5 months, I dropped my 5K pace down to from 6:46 to 6:15, which is 30 seconds, which is a huge jump at a 5K over 10 weeks without just smashing it. But you know what I did? I ran a lot, and I ran conservative, and I ran controlled. There are specific ways to do things, and running a lot is the key to getting faster and more durable and more stronger. So if you don't want to commit to running at a minimum 4 days a week, if not 5 to 6 during specific peaks or specific times, this is the best time of year to start a run block. It's about to get colder. You're about to not be able to ride outside. You're far away from anything that has to do with swimming or cycling race, but you can leave from your front door and go run. But the thing is most people, they fall into 2 categories. So I want to do these speed workouts, and they want to go out and run in zone 3 because it looks good and it feels good, and they all you're doing is just being what you are. You're not getting any faster. You're just in that gray zone or that black hole, and you're just constantly continuing to stay where you are, but it looks good, and you can't figure out why all of your runs are only between 7:20s and 7:30s, and then when you go on race day, you end up failing. It's about running more, and it's about running hell of a lot slower than you really want to. So if you can't commit to that, and you can't suck it up, and you can't skip the occasional group run to where they're always going to run faster than you're supposed to, and you want to do this with them, then understand that with some, like, everything in life is about sacrifices. So if you want to give up a little bit here, and not do here, then don't expect to always get the best result, because it's always about what you put in and how you put it in. And if I'm not telling you, it's I'm not here to say you can't go on like group runs and run with your friends, but I'm just saying like there's a time and a place for everything. And when you're looking back at your goals and how I achieved them or how I didn't achieve them, then go back and look at what I either failed to do because I just chose not to. Look at what I did do because I did it well and I wanted to, and then look at those other decisions that were like those in-betweeners. Like, well, I know I've got a really hard ride today scheduled, but I want to go ride with friends. Totally get it. You need to do those. But if you do those every single week and they're meant to be a specific part of your plan, then understand that, okay, maybe it's not going to end out the way that I exactly perfectly want to. Because, again, triathletes are the kings and queens of making things much more difficult than they really have to be, and expectations that have absolutely no basis on any data or perceived training at all. They just, whimsically make them up like they're just fun. And so, especially for longer distance triathletes, if you want to get faster at your 5K, then focus on your 5K. But again, my biggest, not issue, but my biggest hesitation, and the reason I am for the most part against, and I think they're kind of ridiculous, track workouts is a lot of people get injured from them. They're not prepared for them. They might do one track workout a week, and I bet you they only run maybe 2 other times a week. I wouldn't call that being prepared. They run in the same direction. They're leaning in, so I don't think that's good for you either. But for you long-distance triathletes, when you're in a 70.3 or an Ironman, we covered this on, I think, Monday's podcast one before. It's like when you do these longer, slower runs, guess what form you're going to use in a 70.3 or a full? Guess what form you're going to use? Not your 400-meter all-out Track Tuesday speed or form. You're not even going to come close to that. You're going to be looking and feeling a whole hell of a lot different. And it's also 2 totally different systems that you're trying to work. Anaerobic system, aerobic system. You want to have the most aerobic, you want to have the most efficient aerobic system you can possibly have. So you know what that means? You need to stay aerobic for a long period of time. Mm-hmm. And if you find yourself breathing out of your mouth the whole time, then you're going to breathe out of your nose. I'm gonna challenge you. We one of the very first, I think 20 or 30 podcasts we did, we instituted the pool buoy challenge. I will put a guarantee on this. If you go out this weekend and you run a 5K, okay, and you put down your time. If you run, and this is very dependent on people's injury history and their ability to actually be objective and not be a hero every workout, but if you can commit to running 5 to 6 days a week, and you do every single one of those runs, besides maybe one, if you do every single one of those runs breathing out of your nose, and you do that for 12 weeks, and you incrementally increase your runs on each one by a very, very small margin, I guarantee you'll have a faster 5K. Just run more. Again, 2 to 3 days a week isn't going to cut it. And a lot of the reasons why people are so hesitant, and I run into this all the time. Well, I know you like to have your athletes, run quite a bit, but I have a huge running injury history, so I can only do 2 to 3 days a week. And that's not really ever pretty much true. The reason you're running prone or you're running injury prone is because you probably run too hard too often in the wrong way. I've never seen a single person get hurt from running in zone 1 or zone 2. It's because they want to overrun all the time. And when their body isn't also, as we discussed on Monday's podcast, when you haven't, don't expect a machine to work if you haven't built it. And athletes, especially triathletes and a lot of runners, just want to skip that part. I want to do the fancy stuff. I want to do the stuff where I can split up my Instagram filter into 3 different spots with my selfie and my watch face and my Garmin splits, and that's what I'm looking for. And I want that faster, and I want it now. Nobody wants to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, go out for the 25, 30-minute easy, chill, complimentary run, because what fun is that? I don't know how that's doing any good. But they want to do speed work, and they wonder why their body can't handle it, or they get a niggle every other week, and they can't string together a long training block. You got to make and build the machine if you want it to work a specific way. You can't be lazy. You can't take shortcuts. So just make a decision. Do you really, truly want to run faster? Or do you just like the idea of being able to run faster while taking shortcuts and doing this gross amount of under preparation in order to get to the place that you want to be? That's the decision you have to make.
Yeah, we're looking for shortcuts, man. And I think one of the things is, we watch Kona or we watch like these track events on TV, and what we don't see is like what's gone on before that. I mean, that's the real thing, is that a lot of these super fast milers or quarter milers or sprint, they're constantly being pampered, and but they've been running forever, and they have the attention of the world's greatest recovery minds at their disposal, and it's so true, man. It's like, how do you expect to get to that kind of level without the background? And I was kind of talking about it before last time with how I used to ride bikes every day, and it's just sort of like become part of me. And I think that when we come into whatever, 30 or 30s, 40s, 50s or whatever, and all of a sudden we see these flashes of kind of potential speed that we might have inside of us, we mistake that for being ready to run that speed. And it takes such a long time to build up you always talk about building up your body and your strength and your chassis and having that ready to run that fast. And I think that is just, it's easy to sit here and listen to and hear and go, oh yeah, but it's really difficult to understand what that means, and how running it's like literally like, I always talk about yoga or whatever. It's like going into yoga and trying to like nail these poses without building your foundation. You just can't do it. You might be able to pull off a quick glimpse of something amazing, but to sustain that, sustain these sort of long, and it's similar because it's you got to hold a pose in yoga, and you got to hold form in running for a long time. And I was thinking about that yesterday because I was out running, and you always feel good, running a 5K or a 10K or something when you're kind of off an Ironman, you're just out jogging a little bit, and you're like, man, I feel pretty damn good, But I was just thinking like how long a marathon actually is, or how it's like for most of it's just 4+ hours, and for your body to sustain that has to have a tremendous base,
It's just stop trying to be somebody that you're not really truly. Here it is. You're trying to act like somebody you're not trying to be. Like take the fastest triathletes that were in Kona, the top 5, top 20. Not a single one of them would even sniff the top 30 at an ITU event. They wouldn't even come close. Same could be said for ITU sprint Olympic athletes when they put them at a full distance Ironman. They wouldn't even come in the top 50. They'd probably get smoked by some age groupers. Because they're totally, 100% totally different. Totally different systems, totally different demands on the body. It's totally different. But it looks fun from far away. But like the speed work and the stuff like that, to me, is a lot like butterfly is the week after the Summer Olympics and swimming is on.
Oh.
It's like one of my favorite times you're here at the outdoor pool because the Summer Olympics are on and everybody's got swim fever and Michael Phelps and Katie Ledecky and all these awesome swimmers are out there and you see like an influx of like every single person that comes to the pool has got the American flag swim cap on. America, we're swimming. And then you see Joe Blow in there hop in, and he tries to do like 3 butterfly strokes, and like 6 lifeguards jump in because they're like, this guy's drowning.
Hey, let's make that analogy a little bit. Like, because when you think about, I always think about what you went through as a swimmer, right? And I always hear these stories about swimmers, and I got a buddy right now who's got a daughter in college, and I talk to him once in a while about what they do, you know. She's 19. And he's like, yeah, I mean, they just basically swim forever. You know, it's like
forever.
I mean, you know, 10K, what, 10? No,
yeah,
10.
10K. No, seriously, that's like
routine practice.
We had a thing called Hell Week where we swam at least 10K a day for a week. And this is when I'm, I think, between 12 to 14 years old. Mm-hmm. They just swim a ton. I mean, if that's like, most runners that are doing like anything from half marathons to full marathons, if you look at like, and they'll even like post like some of their training logs. I think Kip Ninja or whatever how you pronounce the last name, the marathon guy, like 85% of his like runs are like way slower than his open marathon pace. Like these guys, like they're doing it because it works. Like it just works, but people hate it because they either don't like the way that it looks. Like you head to the Greenway and you're trying to keep things in a specific zone and doing this and that, and then like somebody else comes like, well, I don't want them to see me running slow, or I don't want so and so to see on Strava that I ran like a 10-minute mile. Like I'll tell you right now, the best runners that I know fall into the category where you might see runs that are in the 7-minute range, the 8-minute range, the 9-minute range, and some days even a 10-minute range. If every single one of your runs are all start with one number, like all start with an 8, and all your runs average that, then you're not doing it right. You're just not doing it right. That may seem like a very critical or blatant indictment, but the fact is you're probably not doing it right. Because you're either running too fast or you're running too slow, or you're trying to be something the exact same every single time.
Yeah.
Some of your runs should be faster than others. A lot of them should be slower. They're going to be dictated by terrain. They're going to be dictated by your heart rate. They're going to be dictated by your pace and how you feel. They're all going to be different. And if you always, because see, it's like, why are you trying to be this? Like, just slow it down some more. Like, don't find yourself in that gray zone where it's been proven you get almost no training stimulus adaptation from constantly drilling yourself in that zone 3. Like the return on investment is like 0. You're just basically race pacing it. You're the workout PR guy. And the same thing is a lot for cycling. People do this in cycling too.
Well, this is where I was going, because I wanted to go into that with swimming a little bit more and cycling, because I feel like this is just sort of the theme in a way.
Well, it is. There's been, so if you want to get real into it, and you're bored and you have a lot of time, even though you don't have enough time to run extra, if you have a lot of time to seriously, it's like find like 20 minutes, get off Facebook, take a break from our podcast or something for a week, but take the time you don't have to go running and go read anything basically by Steven Seiler. He is like always been kind of like the godfather of what you would say is quote unquote like polarized training. And that is it's about training intensity distribution. And he's basically spent his entire life studying and focusing on the benefits and the training stimulus and the results on how specific athletes across cross-country skiing, runners, cyclists, triathletes, how their training intensity and distribution fluctuates throughout the season, but also where the athletes get the biggest benefit of their training from. And I get it. Like I get it from a large bulk of athletes that, it won't always work the exact same as every body. Quote unquote, every actual body is different. But because you don't have a lot of time to do what some athletes will call junk miles, even though they're not, is you might not have time to do 10 hours a week in cycling, and 8 hours those be endurance pace, and 2 hours of those be 2 hours worth of that time be high intensity interval based. Most oftentimes you find athletes that do like 3 or 4 hours a week, and they do it all at like zone 3, which is like almost zero return on investment. You'd be much better off spending like those 5 hours a week doing like 3.5 hours in zone 1, 2, and then finding an hour and a half to just absolutely bury yourself. But again, it goes back to the same thing with running and cycling: is people just aren't committed enough to go. And it sounds funny in a world that we live in, where it's like, wants to come and do these things, to say you just need to commit to going easier. It's like you just need to commit to going easier and go and just do it. I know it's not fun. I know it doesn't feel like when you want to hop on Swift every single day of the week and race. Well, have fun in a virtual world coming in 7th, and then things not really working out the way you want to when it comes to like real life racing. There's a time and a place for everything, and you have to at some point pick: do I want to live a training life and just immerse myself in being a professional trainer, where I just go out and I want to PR every run, and I want to hop on Swift and win every race 5 times a week, and I'm always doing this, but then when it comes to the actual race, I can't figure out why I keep coming in way behind what I thought I would be.
Mm-hmm.
You need to pick what's most, and it's fine to pick either way. I don't care what you pick, but don't have expectations that are outside of the reality of what you're actually committed to doing, because that's what we do, and that's what a lot of athletes do. They want this, but they aren't willing to do this because they want everything the way that they want it, and they want to get the immediate fulfillment every single second of the day, not 10 months down the road as it culminates into what they've been preparing for, even though it doesn't look cute, even though it doesn't look fun, and you can't see it every day. It's the stuff that matters. So you just got to pick. Do I want to do whatever I want to in my training and push it more than I should, and work out in that black hole, in that gray zone, in that zone 3 all the time, and do these runs or rides all the time with my friends? If you want to do that, absolutely go for it. Whatever keeps you healthy, whatever keeps you in it, whatever keeps you doing it. But you can't have it both ways. And if you keep telling yourself you can, you're fooling yourself.
I got a question.
I've only had 2 cups of coffee today, by the way.
I'm just into my first, so I'm just sitting back and soaking it in.
Yeah.
Hey, I got a question. Say you're going out for that zone 1, zone 2 run, that slow run. And, I mean, I think for me, I'm usually like a mile or two. I feel like my heart rate kind of like levels off about mile 2 or something like that. If I don't warm up really or anything, I just start going run. I just feel like it takes me a little while to kind of calm down, or just to feel at ease with everything. And that could be like my going out at my 10-minute pace or whatever it is right away, and then all of a sudden 2 miles in, that 10-minute pace starts feeling easier. And I wonder if, like, I don't go with a lot of data and stuff like that, so I wonder if like my heart rate actually does slow down after I get into it a little bit and warm up. And then at that point, but I guess the point is like it can feel easier as you go, and then if your heart rate starts like slowing down a little bit, is it more based on the heart rate stuff? Like let's just say my heart rate is 140 coming out of the gate, and then it goes down to 120, and then it starts slowing down even more at the same pace. Do I am I okay? Just should I slow down? I mean, should I stay there? Or can I speed up just a little bit to hold the heart rate kind of part of it?
Well, you'll find in a lot of ways. Like you can either run. There are three ways. You can run by feel. What feels moderate, which is because some days breathing out of your nose. You can go by pace. Like there are some ways where you can do like a specific run test and then a way to correlate what paces should be done at this or what percentage of time they should be done in this. I'd be happy to give those out, but I'm honestly not about to give out like boatloads of information that I use for coaching. Like, it's too much. Okay. But there are ways for you to do that, or you can go by heart rate. But the thing is, like, most people, like, that's the other thing, is like most people just put on their Garmin, put in their age and their name and their, where they ate for breakfast and then what their favorite food group is, and our Garmin's like, bam, max heart rate 197. And then that's what they go off. I'm like, that's not even close to accurate. Neither is like the 220 minus your age plus 10 plus this. There's just like a million different ways to do it. I would. And the other thing about testing, and testing I think has its merits, but you've also got to make it. The biggest struggle with athletes in testing is it has to be repeatable. It has to be repeatable. And it has to be like somewhat even like close to the conditions. Like when I read Jim Vance's book about basically it's all about data. He was simply saying, like, a lot of athletes want to like throw in. He talks about periodization and specific phases and stuff like that. But when you get down into like the numbers and stuff, like most athletes, we get super impatient. Man, I'm getting faster. It's slow, but I'm getting faster. What can I do to get even faster at getting faster?
Yeah.
Just calm down. Like, if you're trending up, then just cool it. That's like trending up and always trending up is the name of the game. Because if you see gigantic blips that trend way up and then crash, it's because something was out of balance. It should always be a slow trend. It should always be somewhat predictable. Don't get impatient with your patience. And don't try to, I want to get faster at getting faster. Just chill out for a minute and just keep doing what you're doing. Like, I know that like it's not as exciting. I get it. But you know what is exciting? Getting faster and being healthy. What's not excited? Trying to do too much, trying to change the new thing, and all of a sudden getting lost and finding something that's not trackable or traceable, and then you're on the shelf for 5 months. So just stick with it. But the point he was making was that two things. One, when you're looking at your longer runs, and you look at this like what they call PAHR, and basically it's your variance in pace versus HR over a specific route. He's like, it needs to be the same route every single time. And somewhat same conditions, which this is why running over the winter is huge. Is huge, and the best time of year to do it, because listen, your heart rate isn't going to fluctuate that much in the winter on a specific in terms of what the conditions are causing. The only thing that's going to be different in the winter is the wind. You might get a headwind, and that might throw away. And basically, what he's saying is your 8-minute pace held 8 minutes, but your heart rate increased a lot at the end. So there was a big variance in pace and heart rate. Well, in the summertime, you might go out and it might be 60 and do your test, and 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 10 weeks later, guess what? It might be 95. So good luck getting accurate feedback and accurate data on a run that was 30-degree difference with a dew point that was 75 and humidity that was 80%, versus the run you did where the wind was light, it was partly cloudy and 60 with 40% humidity and a dew point in the 50s. So it's too skewed. But in the wintertime, you're always going to kind of get what you're going to get. And so, but you have to take the same route every single time. That's why a lot of people just hate is like doing the same thing all the time. And I get it. It can be monotonous, but I love it. because it's in order to get a true grasp of how good and how well and how much more efficient you're becoming, you need something that's predictable and that's stable and that's not changing every single day of the week or every single different route or what was going on. Like, it's hard enough to test, but when you take so many different factors, it's like, what's going to be the big, like, how's this going to affect what I'm actually doing? And that's why the winter's a great time. But in his book as well, like, he says, like don't, and basically he's referring to the amount of time people spend in what they would call like their base phase. And a lot of people would say, and again, that's why so many people struggle with, or they end up regretting the amount of time they would spend in a quote unquote base phase by taking off November, December, the winter, fall months where they just take it off. The longer you can stay in that quote unquote base phase, the better. Because that's when you're doing that's when you're creating the best machine and the best workable athlete that's durable and that's aerobically efficient as possible. But people end up usually cutting it short before your body has even hit like what they would say like a plateau. Because the same kind of stimulus and same kind of training isn't going to work all the time. It's going to change. But don't get so impatient that you just change it for change's sake. Because many athletes could probably spend 12, 16, 20 weeks of just doing zone 1, zone 2 running and see benefits every single 6 to 8 weeks they did a test. But they get impatient. And they're like, well, I think I can cut my hours down. I think I can probably start doing some hill work, probably a couple track workouts, probably an extra tempo run, and I'll probably get a little bit faster. And then they find themselves run down. They find themselves not improving as much. It's like sometimes, like, training well, and the best athletes in the world, they never want to accept that this is as good as they're going to be. But at the same time, they have a different level of humility and acceptance when it comes to only caring about one thing. And that's about making them the best athlete they could probably be. Mm-hmm. And doing whatever at all costs that means. Mm-hmm. And that means doing their work at zone 1, zone 2, just like the rest of us. They just do a lot more of it. So again, it's just that, like, I want to get faster at getting faster. I'm seeing improvements, but I want more. Okay. Well, do you want to take a risk on what we know works and, try and reinvent the wheel? It's a person who buys the new iPhone every time it comes out. Like, you got an iPhone, it works. They're going to have like one upgrade that's different, but you're going to drop $400 on a new one, and then you know what that's going to come out with? A new one in like 6 months, mm-hmm. and then another new one in like 6 months, and then a new one in like 6 months, and then eventually, if you don't get one, you know what? It's going to be back to like the same size you had like 4 iPhones ago.
Yeah.
It's just like, just chill out. Just chill out.
A good buddy of ours, Lee Wilson, who owns Nashville Running Company here, used to run at Oregon. The Oregon Ducks track. He was a distance guy. And I used to talk to him all the time because he's a really good runner, and I would ask him those questions when I first started. I'm like, dude, how do I get faster at running? How do I get better at running? He goes, man, he always laugh. He goes, man, he owns a running store and he talks to people every day about running and everything. He goes, man, the only way I know how to get faster at running is just to run. That's what he would say to me, and he'd just laugh. And I think what you're saying is like, and it's sort of a thing it's been mentioned too in these questions that you put out there for today was a lot of people talk about strength training, and basically what you're talking about is that's kind of functional strength training, right? Is that run and slow part? It's in a way.
It's durability. I mean, I wouldn't say it's functional strength training, but it is in a way.
But I mean, that's sort of the point, is like getting stronger in ways that matter. Durability, because you can't. Well, no, if you don't have the durability, the strength or the speed work is like a bad idea.
I would say it's more along the lines of like injury prevention versus strength training. But it's all about creating a more resilient chassis and body, which is what it's all about. Your body needs to be able to withstand the demands in which you are going. Like, people love to think about it in a way of like aerobically or anaerobically, and how they need to perform with watts and paces and heart rate and swim yardage, and I got to swim the distance, and I got to bike the distance, I got to run the distance, and I got to do it at this pace and do this spots. But like, okay, well, that's all output. That's all a result of. But you forget, like you got your laptop, but what makes it work? The stuff you don't see, the microchip, all the other fancy stuff that's inside of it. It's like we got Ross on; he could talk about it. It's just like, but it's about, again, we talked about it Monday. It's about training the way you want to train, so you can train the way that you need to. But people like to skip those first two trains and just go to everybody wants to be the locomotive. If we want to use trains as an analogy, they don't want the rest. They just want to be the one that the part that everybody can see. That's the showboat. That's the one out in front that everybody sees and everybody appreciates and everybody watches. But guess what? It doesn't really bring anything home. It only holds one person. The rest of the cargo, the rest of the stuff is coming from behind, and you just have to be willing to take your time. But again, like it's commitment. Like it's about making the time to do it. Like, I was having this discussion with an athlete that I work with currently. This is like another part of figuring things out. Is this athlete said, something like, I don't work normal hours. I have the flexibility to get the training done. Plus, you're used to working with people with crazier schedules than mine. And I said, I think the biggest question you need to ask yourself is, how is your time management? I can only work within the parameters of the time you will use, not the time that you have, because that is a big difference. And that is also like an area of athletes can do kind of a self-review of themselves. Like, how is your time management? Is it really that you don't have the time, or you just don't make the time? I mean, we do this every aspect of our life. Like, I don't have the time for this. Yeah, you do. You just choose to do other things. Mm-hmm. But don't expect to get the results from things you haven't put the time in. Like, use training. Like, training is a book. Don't expect to know what the book ending is like, or what's in it, if you're not going to take the time to read it. Yeah, you can get the Cliff Notes version. Yeah, you could probably answer like a 5-question pop quiz and like barely pass. But if I asked you in depth about the whole book in an open discussion, you'd fail. So treat it as such. Like, if you really want to get better, then just commit to taking the time, but again, like, that's always the fine line, and that's where things, I think, like, you have to look at yourself objectively. Where you fall short rarely is in your athletic ability, if ever. Is your performance held back by your lack of or use of a power meter and its metrics? Nope. Is it held back because you skipped out or you didn't do enough Track Tuesdays? Nope. Is it not maximized because you went to the pool but you only did this and that? It's all because of how you choose to use your time. Do you use it wisely? Do you take a 3-month vacation in November, December, and January, but then you expect to have the fitness of a person who never does that? You have to just make a decision, but you can't. People like to commit to goals, but don't like to commit to what it's going to take to achieve them. But they still expect to get X without doing the Y, and It's the same for for strength, for swimming, for cycling, for running. The question, the answers are usually like before you take things to like a different level of confusion or a next level data or next level this, like oftentimes, man, just look at like the most common sense. Like, why didn't you achieve what you wanted to achieve this year? Because you didn't train enough, or you were hurt, or you were sick, or you decided to, place these two races too close together, or skip these because you thought this would be fun. Like, it always comes back to ourselves, but we like to blame what we don't have, or wasn't given to us. Like, it's always on us. It's always on us. Always. We didn't do enough. We didn't, we thought we were going to train enough, but we look back through our training peaks and we see like 2 reds a week or 3 weeks where I just didn't have it at least. And you can, self-reflection is always good. When I look back to my training, I look back, okay, where did I fail and where did I mess up? I should have done this. I know I should have done that. Or considering what I did do, I'm pretty happy with this. I got out what I put in. And again, I think it's a very huge balance between obviously return on investment and keeping a good balance in home life and family and work and hobby and your love of the sport and doing things with other people. And it's like, yeah, like with this of, can I have nailed this a little bit better? Yeah, but would I want to give this up? No way.
I mean, the reality,
no way,
right?
Yeah, it's like,
what's the reality of how fast you're going to get to, as a,
it's about being realistic.
In my case,
objective
50-year-old.
Realistic.
That can we always get better? I think, the answer is definitely true. And it's like that book analogy you just had. It was pretty good. It's like, if you read the Cliff Notes, you don't really have an intimate understanding of the book. And if you don't go through run phases 1, 2, 3, and 4 in that order, it's going to be hard for your body to have that intimate understanding of how to run fast for a long time or whatever. So I just think that it does. It's that patience piece and how you're going to get from level 1 to I don't know. I think we all get confused because at one point in our lives we were kids and we were always running around and we were always doing these sorts of things and we always felt fast and always felt durable and all that sort of stuff. But then we're 23 after college, and then all of a sudden we don't do crap for along that lines for the next 15, 20 years, and we just expect to kind of be there again, And I think the underestimated part of all this is just really putting in the time to really get your body back to where it's capable of maybe making those gains. It's sort of, we have this false memory of who we think we should be now.
Mm-hmm.
And but before we go, I just want to talk a bit more about that as an analogy to swimming, because you talk about a lot about working hard sets in the water and stuff like that, and I think it's similar in the sense, like, if you're not ready for those, they can really kind of set you back. You know what I mean? Like, if you swam almost every day of your childhood, right?
Pretty close.
And I mean, that cannot
felt like
be,
it, at least. That's
yeah,
why I quit,
but miles and miles and miles and miles and miles and miles. And I think that can't be underestimated either, as far as, because that's always a big one too. Is like, how can I get faster in the water, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that one might be harder than running.
Swim more.
Yeah,
general rule of thumb, and this goes for almost everything in life. If you want to get better at it, do it more days than you don't.
Yeah. I mean,
just keep it that simple. I mean, 3 is the max for a lot of people in terms of time, but it's like, that's the biggest thing that I struggle with. That just irritates like me to no end. You take all this time to go to the pool. You drive 15 to 30 minutes down the road. You walk into the front desk. Hey, how's it going, Jill? Good to see you again. Your scan, beep. Walk to the locker room. Hey, look, there's Tim. Hey, good to see you. You change, you find your locker, because we all got a locker, even though if it's not ours, we all got the same locker we go to, or the same side. You get undressed, you walk on the pool deck, you're like, All right, go a couple arm swings. I'm gonna go a couple head turns. I got my pool buoy, I got my snorkel, I got my band, I got my paddles, got my special shorts, I got my fins, I got my kickboard. All right, let me find a lane. All right, I got a lane. Ah, sweet, I got my own lane. Let me turn around. Let me get my goggles out and my swim cap. Then I got my note card. Then I got my 3 water bottles. One's got a sports drink, one's water. Probably get a gel just in case I need it. Turn around. Oh, shoot. There's that old lady hopped in the other side of the pool. Who hops on the other side of the pool?
Yeah.
And then hops in your lane. Now I got to do like the whole, hey, hand motion. You want to share? Yeah, I'll share. Yeah, okay. You take that side, I'll take the right side. Okay. Now we're in the water. All right. What do I got today? All right. I got 200 fins. Okay. Got it. 200 kick. Okay. Got it. All right. Change gear. I got paddles. I got 800 warm up with 17 different things of gear. Then we're going to do our main set. Look, but there's Tim. Let's talk for a little bit. You spend like an hour and a half or 2 hours at the pool, and you might get in like 15 freaking minutes of work in. The rest, you're just splashing around like a 5-year-old at the water park. With your Superman toy and your Flash and your SpongeBob. Like, just get to work. But that's how people approach it. I just can't figure out. I'm not getting any faster. I did catch-up drill, I did my, drag my fingers up to my forearms, and I swim on my side and I kick, and then I take 2 strokes and I swim on my side and I kick, and I did that for a 400, and then I put my snorkel on and I really focused on keeping my head position. Like, no wonder you're still swimming a 3-minute pace. Like, get in the water and go to work. Especially if you can only get there like 2 times a week or 3 times a week, get to work. Like, just don't tell me you're not getting faster. You're not getting faster because you're just, for lack of a better word, I'm sorry, you're just being slow.
Mm-hmm.
There's a difference in going to the pool to get faster and going into the pool to just be slow. But a lot of people love that. And sometimes I can go to the pool and I'll be there with and like, I swear to God, they only swim like a 400.
Yeah,
maybe a 400. And I'm like, dude, what? No wonder. Like, maybe that's what maybe they just do it for relaxation stuff, and I get everybody's go there. But like, when you get to the pool, man, put some work in. Like, dude, like, life is all in like, it's about doing the biggest return on like getting your biggest return on investment from the time you got. Like, because swimming takes a while, and because some people have childcare and they got things to work around. It's just like, get the most out of it. But especially in swimming, when you're in water and you can't, like, it's really, really, really difficult to hurt yourself because you don't have the pounding of running, and just for cycling, it's just like, it's no impact. Like, you can work anaerobically super hard without that like extra risk. But people don't like to do that because it hurts. Like, listen, I would rather do any workout you could possibly give me, running or cycling rise, than I would you putting me in the pool and having me doing all out work. To me, it's easily the most painful. Breath sucking, soul sucking, arm burning sessions that you can do.
Mm-hmm.
Guess what? It makes you faster. And it makes you stronger, and it makes you a better swimmer, and it makes you a better triathlete. But only doing it once a week or only doing it twice a week, when you go to your master's class and they do like 1,600, but the first 500 is slow, and then you're going to do your kick sets, and you're going to do some drills, and you end up only getting about like 500 yards in of work after you take like 7-minute rests hanging on the side of the wall talking to Timmy about the Boston Red Sox game last night. And then you get up and you get out and you do it again, and you're the exact same swimmer that you used to be. That's all I got today.
All right. Well, I would like to.
I gotta say something for myself.
Yeah, take a deep breath there, buddy.
I am.
When I would like to add one thing about running slow, and I think that there's something I always talk about when I used to start playing drums, and I always wanted to play that drum solo. I sat down and I always wanted to be this fast, drummer that could articulate any note that he wanted in any space and time and just be like real smooth and whatever. But the only way to get fast in drumming is to play super slow. You have to train your muscles to play with correct form and understand it at a very, very slow rate. And I think that, to me, that translates into running as well. When you're slow running, I don't think that you should neglect the idea that you should be running with good form or trying to run like you're running, but running slow. I think that trains your muscles to be repetitive, and it trains them to run faster, because you're not doing the straight leg shuffle thing, just because you're going slow. I think if you focus on, and in fact, that makes running slow even harder, but I think it's a good thing. It doesn't beat you up, but it makes it more difficult to stay in that pocket when you're running,
And guess what it does? It minimizes the penalty for your impending mistakes.
Mm-hmm. I guess what I'm saying is take running slow seriously. Yeah. Do it right. Don't just like, I'm out running slow. I'm really not even running. You know what I mean? I mean, seriously, I think a lot of people think that way. But really zone in on how you're running. And, try to mimic, to some degree, like that would be how you would want to run fast, but you're holding back and you're just letting your body adapt to it. And the more it adapts to it, the next thing you know, you're out running, these slow 10, 12 mile runs, and it feels like you're not even running when you're done. That's the key. Yep. Because all of a sudden, if you can run a half marathon and feel like you really didn't run, you're probably getting some good stuff going on there.
Yep.
So.
Well, I'm glad we could cover 3 of the 87 topics.
Well, it's an important one.
We'll get to the other ones, I promise. Or maybe I'll find some time to do like a Facebook Live or something. I haven't put my ugly face on Facebook in a while, so maybe I can do that. I'll commit to a Facebook Live next week to answer some of these questions. Yeah, I can't tomorrow.
I think that's fine.
Yeah, tomorrow. Next week I'll pop in and I'll schedule it so you guys can have a little bit of a heads up.
Yeah, I mean, that gives everybody a little time to get out there and run.
Yeah, that's right. Get up there and run. Yep. I challenge you to be the slowest runner on the trail this weekend.
Oh, man. That's not easy.
No, it's not.
It's definitely not easy. It might be harder than running fast.
It is.
So there you go. You're working harder.
Mm-hmm.
Well, all right. Well, anyway, crushingiron.com is where you want to go to find out more about us, more about coaching and coaching pricing and swim analysis videos. What else we got there?
Yeah, who wouldn't want to rant like this via text message whenever you need it? No, but yeah, swim analysis, all the kind of fun stuff, coaching, training packages, and like you said at the beginning of the podcast, we'll be launching something new here in the next week or two. We're really excited about in terms of growing our community and being able to offer more to more people. We're excited about, and but yeah, go on the website, check us out, all things Crushing Iron at crushingiron.com. Good luck to everyone racing this weekend, and keep in touch. Let us know what you think about the podcast, either on iTunes or you can always just shoot Mike and I our email with any questions. You can reach Mike crushingiron@gmail.com, or you can reach me directly, c26coach@gmail.com. If I've offended you in any way today, you're welcome.
I really just see all this passion from you, and I know it's because you care.
I do.
I know.
It's also frustration, but you only get frustrated with things you care about for the most part. But it's just like people. I hate seeing people underachieve. I hate seeing people fall short, and I hate seeing people not finish. A lot of work goes into these things, and it's important because there is so much it's not so much there's misinformation, it's just that there's so much information that it's confusing to parse together to make sense for you specifically as the individual. whether it's articles or training plans or the top 10 things that the Global Triathlon Network says to maximize your swim. Yeah, you just wasted time listening to that more than likely. There's a lot. It's a ton, and I just can't tell you how, simplify as much as you can. And that's what we try to do. And I think that I could talk about it, in a much finer and eloquent, spiel, but then I feel like I would fail to get the point across. So sometimes a blunt object is always the best route to go, and I try to be that blunt object in a world of tacks.
Yeah, and sometimes we need this. I need this. Sometimes the communication comes across in different ways, and then finally one way it sinks in. That's
Exactly.
the whole thing. It's like sometimes you can only hint around so much.
Exactly.
Before you gotta lay him the
Seriously.
truth. Oh.
Yeah, like most triathlon speak and advice is like, is like the kid in third grade on the playground trying to flirt. He's throwing rocks at you. You just can't figure out what the hell he's trying to do when really he's trying to tell you that he likes you.
I know.
I'm just trying to tell you, like, hey, I'm gonna pass you a note back road, like, hey, yes, no, maybe. Let me know. Do you want to go together? Do you not want to go together? If you do, then I'll, make one of these weird little pyramid things that I can make with my fingers with the names on them and the colors. We can play this game in the back of the class. But yeah, just try to make it simple.
Make it simple. It's not you. It's me. It's not you. It's me. It's not you. It's me. Okay, it's you.
It's just bad timing.
It's you.
It's so you. You're terrible. You're awful. Get out of my life.
Oh boy. Okay.
Right. Have a good weekend, folks.
Yeah, have a great weekend, and stop by patreon.com/crushingiron if you're still hanging around and you got anything and you're learning stuff. And spread a little love to the group. And we'll be back Monday with some more great ideas.
Talk to you later, man.
See ya.